Coming up, I'll let you know the areas of significant wind and rain that could impact your weekend plans. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. As always, fantastic to see you on a Friday. Hope you're doing well. The weekend is here and coming up. You got outdoor weekend plans. I can promise you there's a lot of areas that's going to see a lot of wind. We'll talk about some areas with some heavier rain and how that's also going to impact the marine forecast. For you boaters, a lot of significant wave heights and some problems out there. We'll talk about that. Love my Meteo Mundo weather community. As always, let me know in the comments section below where you're viewing from and what the weather has been like. And Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm out of Central Florida. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover homeowners, condo owners, and associations across the state. Anything that can impact you or your property. We're talking about floods, burst pipes, auto accidents, hail, hurricanes. They're there to help you guys. They're going to walk you through the insurance claims process. They offer free consultation and policy review. You can contact them at leanonmelaw.com or the number on your screen, 407-502-0053. Let's get into it, friends. These are your wind gusts in miles an hour, the visible satellite imagery here, and there's a lot of wind to talk about and some large-scale features that are going to impact our weather. First of all, take a look at Bermuda. They've had winds of nearly 50 miles an hour for today behind a cold front, and you can clearly see that trough ahead of the front, about ready to move into the greater and the lesser Antilles, bringing some shower chances and a lot of wind energy that's really going to kick up the seas. There's also a pretty strong cold front and associated area of low pressure in the northern Gulf of Mexico. Look at the winds it's bringing, and these winds are going to sneak down into the southwest Gulf and into Mexico and portions of Central America. You got a lot of wind energy overall here, guys, for the weekend with these large-scale features. So this is what it looks like on the surface analysis. There's that area of low pressure, northern Gulf of Mexico, cold front, dripping back down to the southwest side of the Gulf. You've got two fronts. One is basically on the doorstep of the Turks and Caicos on the eastern side of the Bahamas. That dotted line is that trough, that imagery that I showed you on the visible satellite imagery that's coming down for the northern sides of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. And you're going to see this word a lot, gale. That's all the wind in the western Atlantic, but even portions of the western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico that will have winds of more than 30, 35, even 40 miles an hour. So let's break down what's going to be happening for today. We'll start off in this area. And again, this is that prefrontal trough that's going to be moving in. Now, it's brought wind ahead of it. You can clearly see some of the stronger gusts that we've had for today. Places like St. Thomas and the U.S. Virgin Islands have had some 30-mile-an-hour gusts. St. Croix over 20, San Juan right around 20. Has it brought any rain? What do you say we take a live look to the radar out of San Juan, Puerto Rico, or the southeast side of Puerto Rico? And the answer is really no. It's been a relatively dry day across this area. It's just been quite breezy outside. Rain chances are going to go up just a little bit here. Nothing too significant, but we're going to at least get some passing cloud coverage out of this, and we'll talk more about that coming up. Now, I do expect the opportunity that as this trough sneaks down into the northern sides of the Dominican Republic, places like Puerto Plata, a little bit of lift in the atmosphere and a couple of spotty showers are possible. But behind that, when you take a look at the water vapor imagery, the air is drier. So we're going to be drying out again for portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and again, Bermuda and areas to the north. There's Bermuda right there, 40, 45 mile an hour winds. Now look, the air is actually even drier in the lesser Antilles at the hour, but we have some cloud coverage beginning to sink in, and this is also a northerly wind, which is going to push in some big time swells, and I'll highlight that coming up. But a little bit of extra cloud coverage for today for places like Ceiba, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Antigua, Barbuda, down towards Guadeloupe. It's been a little bit sunnier today for places like Dominica, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a relatively fair day. On over towards Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. It's another area that has some marine concerns for the weekend ahead as well. ABC Islands have been looking very nice. You can see this elongated feature across the central side of the Caribbean. There's a few showers associated with that. And then you get back into that moisture plume into the southwest side of the Caribbean. We'll switch over to our enhanced satellite imagery. There's the water vapor imagery out of it, and you can see that moisture again moving over Panama and Costa Rica. Those are the areas with the best opportunity for some showers. As we get into the northwest side of the Caribbean, things have been relatively comfortable. My friends in Jamaica have enjoyed a very nice day ahead. We'll take a look at the rain chances coming up here, but temperatures aren't horrible for today. Montego Bay hit 82, Kingston 86, that's in Fahrenheit. Just as a reference, 80 degrees Fahrenheit is 27 degrees Celsius, so mainly the upper 20s in most spots of Jamaica, as far as Celsius goes. And again, it's been a relatively comfortable day. Now, there is some cooler air coming in. This is a mix of a couple of things here, so let me drop off that data. But you can see temperatures in Florida are beginning to drop, and there's a lot of colder air north of that front, and we're going to get another push of some temperatures back into the 70s Fahrenheit coming up by early next week. Let's get into that forecast, friend. As always, I love to hear from you guys, and it's very important. If you wouldn't mind doing me a quick payback, all you got to do is like this video. It's very simple. If you want to drop a comment, I appreciate that. Love hearing from you guys. Thank you for subscribing to Meteo Mundo. If you haven't subscribed so far, sharing this with your family and friends, and you can find other ways to support us here at the channel as well. So now we're going to break down the forecast for you guys. And actually the first element I want to start with is going to be the wind, because this is going to play a pretty important factor in our forecast over the weekend. So I'm going to load up these vector fields, we call them. It's going to just give you a good indication of which way the winds are moving and then the magnitude associated with that wind. Then I've got the surf and sea condition forecast, and then we'll get into the rainfall forecast. But there's just a lot of wind energy, and that's pretty typical for this time of the year. I'll start up in Bermuda, which again for today already had some nearly 50-mile-an-hour winds. Well, guess what? It's going to continue to be on the windier side here with some fresh westerlies coming back in. It'll take just a second for this to fully load, but today is the 10th. So we're looking at Saturday the 11th, Sunday the 12th, Monday the 13th. And as we go through the weekend, guys, here in Bermuda, take a look at this push of wind coming back in tomorrow, Saturday into Sunday. Those whites are winds of over 30 miles an hour sustained. If you see a little bit of orange sneaking its way through as well, that can get up to 40-mile-an-hour winds. They had 50 today, so guess what? They're just in for that as well. It's actually going to be just a little bit calmer in the Bahamas over the weekend. We actually don't have a near gale advisory. That's great news. So if you're doing some boating in the Bahamas, even the Turks and the Caicos, it's looking better. Now, early next week, we'll start to get more of a fresh wind as yet another cold front comes in, and there's a little bit more push of a northerly breeze outside. But this is actually one area, the Bahamas, that I'm not going to be talking about for elevated surf and sea conditions. Now, if you're small craft, you probably still want to stay in sheltered locations. This time of the year in the exposed waters of the Atlantic, seas easily run 6 to 8 feet, but certainly higher as well. You can see the impacts of that trough coming in here through the greater Antilles. If I stop this and I go back to today and then into our Saturday, we are going to get a wind shift. We're going to start with a north wind. The winds are going to quarter and be more out of the east. However, at least in the short term, this is going to elevate sea conditions. It's going to elevate the rip current risk. We have high surf advisories, high surf warnings, rip current advisories, and I'm going to break that down for you guys island by island coming up. But again, for boaters, especially on the northern coast of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands, and then throughout the entire Lesser Antilles, these north winds are going to bring long period swells. I'm talking about from Anguilla to Antigua and Barbuda and Montserrat and St. Kitts and Nevis, and the list goes on. Guadeloupe, Dominica, Martinique, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Barbados, Grenada, all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago. We're going to have some swells of significant heights, at least 2 to 3 meters in a lot of spots. So we're looking at 6 to 9 foot waves, maybe even locally higher. Still check in with your local government and your local officials, but generally speaking, it's going to be rough boating over the weekend for the entire Lesser Antilles. Nueva Esparta's winds will be a little bit more out of the northeast. We're going to have easterly due east winds starting here throughout the rest of the eastern Caribbean into the central Caribbean. So it's strong winds for the ABC Islands, but they're mainly kind of going in one direction. And those pinks, again, are winds of around 25 miles an hour. Those winds will continue out throughout the rest of the Caribbean for our friends in Jamaica. Maybe a slight northerly component for a time for the wind, but generally speaking, these are easterlies. We've had some rougher sea conditions in the offshore waters south of Kingston. The nearshore waters have been okay, but keep an eye on that. There are no high sea warnings or advisories for Jamaica as of the recording of this video, but that could change over the weekend and into early next week. And the winds will be a little bit calmer in the Northwest Caribbean to begin with, and then we're going to watch our next front coming in. And I mentioned this could have a lot of wind for portions of the Yucatan. You can see that, and the winds will be flipping in directions as well. So here's how this plays out when we look at the wave heights. Okay, and direction. So we'll let this loop up. This is getting into Wednesday of next week. As we typically see, the Western Atlantic is all churned up. But in the short term, guys, look over the weekend. Look at those northerlies. Anywhere that you see yellows into oranges or reds, that's more than double digit in feet wave heights, right? So you're looking at, more than 3 meters, more than 9 feet in these spots. And it's the areas that I've highlighted here, and you can see how those northerlies go all the way down the Lesser Antilles. These are the areas I'm most concerned about with a secondary push into the southwest side of the Gulf of Mexico. So if you have, marine plans, if you want to be outside sailing, boating, whatever, please be very cautious. Obviously, the size of your vessel really does matter when we're talking about this situation out there. So this is what I could kind of cobble together throughout our area. For Bermuda, it's a gale and a small craft warning over the weekend. For Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands, it's a coastal flood. I want to highlight that as well. For the northern coastline of Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, it's a coastal flood advisory to go along with a high surf and a small craft advisory. So just a lot of churned up conditions, especially on the northern sides of the islands. For the British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua, and Barbuda, it's a high surf warning. Please keep that in mind. Also, there could be a little bit of inundation and water during the high tide cycles. For Barbados, it's a small craft advisory for long period swells. Northern, eastern, and western sides of the islands and Trinidad and Tobago have a hazardous seas #1 yellow level alert for the weekend there as well. A lot of kicked up conditions, so keep that in mind. Now, as far as rain goes, we'll go back over here and we'll loop this up. I don't expect there to be a significant area of heavy rain, but that being said, some of this wind-swept shower activity will continue to be a factor in a couple of spots, and the Lesser Antilles will be one of those areas that could see some passing showers. The generally speaking, mid-level winds will still be out of the east, even though the surface winds may be more out of the north, but the confluence of those winds could provide some areas of quick passing showers. I don't expect the totals to be significant whatsoever. I'm not concerned about any flooding, but is it going to be a completely dry forecast this weekend for Guadeloupe and Dominica and Martinique and Barbados and St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines? No. Trinidad and Tobago could also get a couple of passing showers as well. The chance overall is going to be around 30%, and you can see some of the showers drifting into the Leeward Islands as well. Anguilla, St. Bart, St. Martin, Saba, St. Eustatius, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Antigua, and Barbuda, all with a few showers to go along with the high surf conditions. We will continue to favor the northern sides of the islands here in the USVI and the BVI for the best rain chance. Same thing for my friends in Puerto Rico. So as happen chance, places like San Juan should have a better chance for showers compared to the southern side of the island, like Ponce and Yabacoa. It'll be the same situation for the Dominican Republic as Puerto Plata, Samana, Punta Cana. Should continue to see a slightly better rain chance in places like Santo Domingo or Port-au-Prince, Haiti. You get north of Turks and Caicos, and there could be a few showers here. It's a relatively dry forecast for the Bahamas until the next front begins to come in, and that will probably be late Monday and into Tuesday. So for our northwest Bahama areas, we'll talk about this coming up, but a few showers possible for Walker's Key, Freeport, Nassau, New Providence, the Abacos, Eleuthera, Andros, Bimini, as we get into early next week. And this front will also bring a couple of showers to the Yucatan. Could see some passing showers for places like Belize City over the weekend. It's not an area I'm extremely concerned about for any heavier rain. There will be some kicked up sea conditions from time to time as well for the Bay Islands, including Roatan. Cayman Islands should enjoy a pretty nice weekend ahead as well. And my friends in Jamaica, we talked about a little bit of an elevated, seas forecast, but shower chances, not much. So if you have outdoor plans, we're looking pretty good. Let's break down some 5-day forecasts for you guys. For the weekend in Kingston, right? 20% chance for showers, but still mainly dry. We actually dry out even more On Monday and Tuesday, just a 10% chance for showers, slightly higher chance by midweek, up to a 30%. Daytime highs will be on the warmer side for the most part, but not horrible, upper 80s to near 90s Fahrenheit. For Nassau, New Providence there in the Bahamas. Breezy tomorrow and actually warmer. The winds will swing a little bit more out of the south for a time. 79 the daytime high, an isolated shower possible Sunday, but there'll be many dry hours and locations over the weekend. And again, it's a good weekend. Monday's a beautiful day. Here comes that next front, late Monday into Tuesday. A few passing showers, 80 the daytime high, and then behind that front, a beautiful but cooler day. The high on Wednesday of next week of just 75 degrees. For my friends in Barbados, it's actually relatively dry for tomorrow. A little bit of increase in moisture on Sunday brings you a 30% chance for, again, fast moving showers. No real appreciable heavier rain is expected. Mainly dry and a couple of really nice days ahead Monday, Tuesday. More passing showers on Wednesday. Daytime highs over the weekend in the upper 80s. They'll fall a couple degrees back next Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. European rainfall totals. Couple of spots to point out. You can see the next front coming in and how the Euro paints on some of that heavier rain. That's the second front coming in here. You can see how the rain does fill back into the southwest side of the Gulf of Mexico, portions of the Yucatan and Central America. The rain is going to be more sparse still for Bahamas, the Lesser and the Greater Antilles, but there'll be a couple of areas that could get 1 to 2 inches of rain over the next 5 to 7 days. Nothing too high, but 25 to 50 millimeters. Bermuda could be in store for some fast moving but heavier rain. Still looking at isolated totals in places like Costa Rica and Panama that could be 3-4 plus inches of rain, 75 to 100 millimeters in a couple of spots. That was the European model. This is the GFS model. It's much the same here, guys, where again, the rain totals will not be significant from the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, Hispaniola, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, most of the Lesser Antilles. Maybe again, there's a swath here that gets just a little bit higher. If we take a look at what this looks like over the next 5 days, just real quick, these purples are going to be pushing about an inch of rain. So you can see that right there, southern side of the Grenadines into Grenada. Trinidad, Tobago, not as much. Barbados, maybe a ½ inch in a couple of areas. ABC Islands, not expecting a lot for you guys, but if we could catch another ½ inch of rain for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, that wouldn't be bad. Again, nothing too heavy whatsoever here, although passing showers are possible. And your most significant rain, again, is going to try and stick along the Caribbean coastline of places like Nicaragua, Panama, and Costa Rica. Scattered showers will continue to develop across Belize and Guatemala, northern sides of Honduras. And there's your heavier rain, maybe right near Cancun. And it could be one of those situations where Cancun has a little bit more rain than Cozumel and Tulum, Merida, all area dependent, mainly back into the Southwest Gulf for some heavier showers. But everything is so progressive this time of the year, meaning things in these larger features are moving fast, that the rain doesn't stick around in one spot for very long. So, if that pattern changes, I will let you know. But this progressive pattern over the next 5 to 7 days is not going to spell a lot of rain in any one spot. It's going to get cold again. Take a look at the temperature in Celsius here. So for our friends who are more on the Celsius scale than the Fahrenheit, I put this on the map for you guys. Over the weekend, you can really start to see some spots that are going to flirt with dropping into the single digits in Celsius. And we're talking about our northern areas, portions of the Yucatan and Cuba, and maybe even the Bahamas. And of course, higher elevations of Hispaniola always get a little bit cooler this time of the year. And many of you have chimed in and said, hey, Rusty, it has been a cool, and in some areas, a cool and wet forecast. But by next Friday, right, you can see on our scale, 9-10 degrees Fahrenheit, a lot of areas right around Celsius, 9-10 degrees Celsius, some areas right around 12. If it got down to 9 or 10 degrees Fahrenheit, we'd have to have a little bit more of a different conversation, right? That's not going to be the case. But obviously, these fronts are having more impacts and bringing some cooler air, especially to our northern areas. I appreciate you guys. Would love to share your pictures and videos, and thank you for those who do send them in. Easiest way to do that is myvdmundo@gmail.com. Just include your name, where of course the picture video is from. You want to give me a little bit of a description, I'd appreciate that as well. You can follow us across all social media, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and again, our email address, myMediaMundo@gmail.com. You have a specific question about the forecast, you can drop it in the comments section below. While you're down there, thank you for liking and subscribing to Meteo Mundo. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, the Lean Law Firm out of Central Florida. They are your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They cover homeowners, condo owners, and associations across the entire state. Anything that can cause bodily harm or damage to your property, hail, hurricanes, burst pipe, auto accidents, they're there to cover you. They're going to walk you through the entire process. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. LeanOnMeLaw.com is the easiest way to find all the contact information for Bobby Lean and the team there at the Lean Law Firm. We appreciate them. And friends, I appreciate you. You have a great weekend. I'm back soon with the latest forecast right here across the Caribbean and the Bahamas at Meteo Mundo.